I've been in social sector for almost a decade now, and I think ultimately it comes down to like, well, I think it has to be like a very clear about like why one is doing, why somebody wants to work in the social sector. But once the why is clear, it then becomes easier to then do the how of it. It's like a famous saying that anyone who knows the why can figure out the how. So in that way, I think in a social sector, why becomes a lot more challenging because there are trade-offs. And the honest truth is that sometimes, most often, that in social sector doesn't pay you as much, but then you have to think what is the currency of trade-off that you think about. Now that currency could be a more impactful life that you think you're leading, which then compensates for the additional money that you might have foregone. Also, the other key thing that I have observed in, especially in development sector, is how I think about framing something called as the counterfactual impact for myself, and like a marginal impact that I would have. How that translates into practice for me is, what is a role that I do where I could add more value than another role where someone else could actually replace me. So some roles that actually can, where you can add a lot more value to it, is something I generally err towards, and that's how I think about social sector, thinking about counterfactual impact and working more on the neglected side of works rather than something that is already abundant in terms of some organizations that are already working. So focus on neglected problems which can be scaled and cost effective. That means that you can have higher marginal impact.
So what do you think? How can that impact be translated? Do you think empathy plays a major role in the translation of this impact, to not just a to-do list, but to actually see it manifest into reality as well?
Yeah, so I think empathy is a word that is often used, but then how do you play it out is through your actions. Now, how I look at empathy is, like, we want to empower our employees and our people who work with us, but it is the foundational base on that is working coming from its place of empathy. Now, how we go about with that is that identifying if some of our employees specifically come from certain places where their skills might not be as effective or useful, then how do we empower them? And for that, we conduct workshops, but also train them, and often we actually discuss and try to improve and identify those, address those needs. So empathy plays a big role, but how much, it's a thing that has to work along with empowerment, because sometimes sometimes people say that it's like there's kindness, but kindness and fairness are sometimes two different things, so it can be played around. So we are very focused that we want to empower people with an idea of empathy.
Last question on this one, that what do you think are the three words that make an organization successful, especially in the social sector? If you're sum it in three words.
Focus on your comparative advantage. It's four words, but just focus on what you're good at. So even for organization, just like for people, just raise a sharp focus on things that you're good at and work on it.
On a lighter note, throughout your journey, is there some fun anecdote that you want to share with the social sector throughout your journey? Is there some fun thing or some funny incident that you recall and you want to share with us that made you laugh or made you brought a big smile on your face?
I think one of the things that is quite memorable was, we were in a very important meeting, and then I set up. So I was in charge of setting up the projector and the putting loading the PDF and the PPT file. And for some reason, the PPT file, the alignment goes off if you are in some other computer, and all our key takeaways for that PPT were all hidden for the entire duration of the meeting. And my manager gave me a look that I don't forget even today. So yeah, so always use PDF, never use PPT for presentations.